I mean, who hasn't dialed the number thinking to yourself, are they going to pick up? Are they going to be available? All I need is someone to talk to. Hi, my name is Neil Matthews. That's where low-key listening comes in. They're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with a real-life person. Go to your phone's app store right now, whether it be Google Play or Apple App Store. You can download the app for free, set up a free account, and somebody will be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's right, a real-life person. Listen, I know not all of us love to talk like I do. That's why they have this amazing feature where you can send voice notes or even text the person. Here's the best part. It's completely anonymous. The person you're talking to and you both get to stay anonymous. It's called low-key listening. Check it out right now, again, at your phone's app store. Again, whether you're feeling overwhelmed or not, maybe you have a victory to share. Check out low-key listening right now, again, at your phone's app store. Set up a free account. Low-key listening. Talk, be heard, feel better. Available now. Low-key listening.
They say opportunity knocks, but what if it's not opportunity? What if it's something or someone else? A familiar voice from the past, a chance you've been waiting for, a mistake you thought you left behind, or maybe something far bigger than you imagined. Some doors were open without hesitation, others will cautiously peek through, and some we wish had never answered. This season on Other People's Shoes, host Neil Matthews is asking one question. Who's there? Will you answer? Will you hesitate? Step inside season 22 of Other People's Shoes, where every knock holds a story, and every door leads to a choice. Now here's your host, Neil Matthews.
Welcome into Other People's Shoes. As you know, I am your host, Neil Matthews. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really excited about the conversation, and I'll tell you why. It happens, and it really just... it brings me back in time. Okay, let's just be candid here. It brings me back in time. When I see or read or get a conversation or get an opportunity, truly even, to speak to a former Marine, it does invoke so much in me. Somehow in my headphones, in my brain, in my cerebral, I hear the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. And it's weird too, because a lot of times when I do these recordings, I drink water, and it invokes even in that. When I was a kid, I don't remember it because I was just a little wee baby. I was born at home in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I remember one day specifically, I was working at a body shop, and this commercial came on, and I was in the break room, and a bunch of the guys were in there because it was lunchtime, and I'm eating my lunch, and commercial comes on the TV, and it's talking about Camp Lejeune and the water, and there's a class action lawsuit, and my buddy standing next to me, who I've known forever, he was the best man at my wedding, his name in my phone truly is Mav. Mav looks at me and he goes, "Hey Goose, weren't you born there?" And I was like, "I was." He's like, "Did you drink the water?" And I was like, "Yep, probably did." That explains so much about you. And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, right? Bad water. That happens." Yeah, it did. It was a thing. So I'm sure you didn't come to hear about my bad water. Maybe we can hear about other bad things, or maybe even some good things. Help me welcome in my new friend from the great upstate of New York. He might be a Josh Allen fan. We're not sure. I know it's not really football season, but he is in the market for a baseball team. And maybe we could get to my favorite baseball story of all time if we have time. Help me welcome in my new friend, John. John, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Neil. What an introduction, man.
Yeah, I look at it as like the Jimmy Fallon introduction. I channel my inner night show host. I really have always resonated with Jimmy Fallon. I don't even come close to his talent level. I do like the guy.
I've met him a couple times.
Have you really?
True story. His best friend owns a bar in Fairport, New York, and he frequents there every holiday season.
No kidding.
I lived in Fairport for 8 years. Yeah. Ran into him a couple times.
Down to earth?
Not like,
yeah,
privately, but in
Sure.
the bar
In the bar.
with 100 other people.
Yeah, down to earth guy from the most part. What we see on TV is what we see in the bar, or is it different?
Super fun dude. At least in the interactions I was around him. Yeah, just hanging out, singing at the bar, taking pictures with everybody. Just really great guy, from my standpoint at least.
Well, John, help us with this, because it is truly my favorite question of all time to ask. I really think it ranks up there right next to who your favorite team is, which we kind of sort of teased on that. You really are a free agent when it comes to baseball, which some people would say so am I, so you might not be alone in that. People are like, wait, there's still baseball going on? That's still a thing we do in America? What size shoes do you wear?
I wear a men's size 8.
Why do you laugh at that?
Because it's a running joke. I'm like all of my friends, I'm shorter man. All of my friends are 6'2", 6'3", or above. And so they always pick on me because I've got small feet.
But here's the thing that I know is the 8 The 8 size, and I'm trying to help some street cred here maybe. The 8 size is easily found in any store. And,
oh yeah,
and
dude.
usually
That's why I laugh, because I
usually
can find
$100 to $80 cheaper than my shoe, which, by the way, isn't that gigantic. I'm 6'2", maybe, if I stand tall. We're in 10.5 to 11.
Yeah.
And my shoes are way more expensive than your shoes are. I'm just
way
saying.
more. Yeah, that is a fact. Yeah.
I'm annoyed by it. Not trying to be mean. I'm like, it's 2 inches. It's 2 inches. Is there a favorite brand or style that you like?
Yeah. So I love like the Nike, just like walk around shoes. It's probably, and I'm a pretty avid golfer. Everything's kind of Nike. I pretty much am a Nike guy. And then boots, I wear what's called Danners, which I got from the Marine Corps. They make civilian style, like casual boots. They're awesome. Fantastic. So Nike and Danners.
A friend of mine, acquaintance really, he works at Toyota here locally at our local Toyota dealership. He texted me one day and he said, "Hey, are you interested in these?" And he sent me a picture. They're all white,
cool.
except for the Jordan like Jumpman logo.
Yeah.
Then that's Carolina blue. Otherwise, they're all white. And they're golf shoes. And I had probably about 6 months before spent stupid money on Jordan 6 golf shoes that look like Buzz Lightyear wore them in Toy Story if he played golf.
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah. Yep.
They're like silver and purple. Anyway, and so the first time I wore them, my buddy's like, "Did you just steal Buzz Lightyear's shoes?" And I was like, funny, my wife said the same thing. You're not ever wearing those around me again. Like, we're not playing around together if you're going to wear those. You can't. I'm like, why? He's like, it's so distracting. I'm like, don't look at my shoes. It's simple. Just look at your ball. Stop looking at my shoes. So anyway, so then we played again, and I had those on, the white ones with the light blue. And he goes, "That's a little better, but they're white. Aren't you worried about getting them dirty?" And I was like, don't say that, because I've just gotten to the point where I don't care about them getting dirty. Now you're putting that in my head again. And then I realized he was trying to get in my head, play worse. Yeah. And it worked, because I played awful that day.
I only wear white golf shoes, only ever.
And then I used like matted blue ball, which is really hard to see in the air.
Dude, you're in it.
I'm in it to win it. I told you.
You are, dude. You're in there. You're never getting out.
This idea of who's there, who would be at, or what would be at your front door?
The first thing that came to mind is actually we did a lot of home improvements this year. I feel like it's like a lost art of the door-to-door salesman, right? You always hear these stories of, the death of a salesman's a perfect example, right? The book, or even Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, these sell shower curtains, right? Door to door. The first thing that came to my mind is we've done a lot of home improvements. And so we actually hired 2 people that came and knocked on our door this year for our roof and for our driveway. And so when I was thinking through that question, that's literally the first thing that came up. It felt like once you had one conversation with one of them, they all kind of communicated telepathically to each other. And then for the next 3 weeks, it was just knocking at the door every other day for some other home improvement. Like, "Hey, you look like you got bugs in your lawn." I'm like, that's probably where they should be, right? Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind when I'm thinking about who's at my door.
Our voice guy did a great job with it, but he talks about, is it opportunity? I've always heard that expression, and maybe you have too. It sounds like we may be similar in age, 46. You don't have to tell me by any means.
I'm almost 40.
But in that process, I've always grown up in a sales environment. Most of my career professionally was in sales in some form or fashion. Somebody told me along the way, "Hey, Neil, you have the gift of gab. You should get into sales. You'd be really good at it." And then I got into it. I'm like, this sucks. There's like a quota.
I don't just get to talk to people.
I wish there were times in life where I could look at an opportunity and go, "Ooh, that looks appealing. Like, I want to open the door to that." But then there have been some other moments in life that I'm like, man, I wish I never would have opened that door. That looked fun at the time. And now I'm like, I wish I'd have shut that door a little sooner. Do you have any moments like that resonate with you in your story?
Oh, yeah, man. I've got both. I've got ones that, hey, I really wish I would have opened that door, and the ones that I shouldn't have. Professionally, I've been in real estate for about a decade now and really liked long-term rentals. Mid-COVID, I jumped on the Airbnb train, sold my long-term rentals and got into Airbnbs. And honestly, it ruined real estate for me. I don't like it. I'm actively trying to get out of that. That's one of those doors that I wish I never opened. Everything was kind of smooth. I've been in financial planning and in sales as the director of sales for a company for a long time. So I know how to build relationships, which is what you do with long-term tenants. You build relationships. If you're a good landlord, they're a good tenant. Everything's great, kind of wonderful. I always wanted them to stay if you get good ones. And so now with Airbnb, it's much more transactional. If the sugar runs out, you get a 1-star review. I'm not even joking, man. It's been crazy. And I don't like it. And so that's one of those ones where I was cruising, felt good. It was actually a part of like a lot of financial plans for me. Now I'm actually thinking myself of just getting out of it entirely. It's kind of ruined that experience for me. On a happy note, there have been career ones and personal ones that I did walk through. I'm a professional coach now, and a conversation I had with my last CFO where it came up that essentially what to do with some of their younger advisors and training and development. And I made a play at it. I had already a small side gig coaching business that they knew about. And I pitched them right there that, hey, maybe I don't work for you anymore. And maybe you just hire me as a consultant to work on training and development to redo this stuff. It was a big chance and it worked. And I love it. That was able to get me out the door of the corporate world and be able to start my own business. So I'll be internally grateful for them always. And for myself for actually taking the chance. And when the door opened, I actually walked through it and didn't regret it. I've been thinking about that one for a long time.
I think there's so many times in life. Again, I look at a moment like that movie in Adam Sandler stars in, Click, where he's like fast forwarding through stuff. The caveat to that is he misses out on so many other things. It starts to almost train him like the algorithm that we see nowadays on social media. Then it starts fast forwarding through the things that he doesn't want to fast forward through.
Yeah.
I had somebody say recently, they're like, I can't go back in time and change it. And let me tell you, in the last 7 years now of doing the show, I've heard that phrase countless times. Times, probably almost every episode we talk about the past. And I don't know why it was in that moment when the guest said that, it finally hit to me. Wait a minute, I can't change the past. And then it got me even thinking further. The person that I'm having an issue with, let's say, JoJo, just because it's a make-believe person and no one's feelings are going to get hurt unless your name is JoJo, which, by the way, I'm really sorry already. Can't even hold JoJo accountable for the past because it's over with. It's done. And I had this amazing phrase, which I'm still working through months and months later. I'm going to give you the phrase. Here it is. Ready?
Yeah.
The now and the next. I haven't trademarked it. I haven't put it out on social media. So it's brand new. This is fresh. The now and the next. And here's the premise.
Yep.
The right now. Who's in front of you right now? And what can you do with them in the right now? Not in the last week, not in the 2 years ago, not in the 10 years ago, but the right now. That's all you have is the right now. You can't think about what happened last week because that was gone. It's done with. You only have the right now with them. It's like, okay, cool. Then now that I know that I have the right now, John, right now, I only have you right now. I'm going to make the best possible podcast show ever right now. Because that's all I have is you right now. Now, however, I can learn from the right now with you, right? I can learn stuff from you, just like hopefully you can maybe learn something from me. And then the next guest, right? The next person, man, I can take what I learned from John and I can take what I learned in that right now moment and I can apply it to the next person that I meet. And I can have that hopefully an even bigger and better impact on the next person. It's a little salesy, probably all those years of doing sales. The now and the next.
Yeah, it's a good lesson in presence, man. I think a lot of people struggle with that. I know a family member right now of mine that's struggling with that really, really, really bad. Where they're just stuck in the past and it's kind of destroying their life, quite frankly. And it's solely because of that. As many times as you can say, hey, be present, be present, be present from the outside looking in, it's so challenging in the moment to not get stuck in those spirals of, man, I caught myself doing that with that real estate example. And I'm pretty good at this. I do think that you get drowned in there and you get sucked down and it's tough to get out. And you got to change your mindset and really focus in on what you just said, honestly, is now and what's next. Let's be present. One of the things, again, that I find most business owners struggle with is really being present outside of their business instead of just focusing on how do I grow this or who's my next guest, for your example, Neil. Be here, be with your family, be with your parents, be with your significant other, be there or be with your friends. We were talking about golf earlier. It's literally one of the reasons that I got into golf. It set me free from a lot of stuff. To me, it still is all consuming. When I'm on that golf course for 3.5 to 4 hours, it's golf. My cell phone's in my bag. I never look at it. My wife knows that. I often golf alone. I golf with a lot of friends too. Memorial Day is one of those days that's a tradition of mine. My only tradition ever is I go golf alone. And it takes up 100% of my time because you're present. There's a good lesson in that of finding things that consume presently. And one of the reasons is so much enjoyment out of it.
Again, I'm not a life coach. I'm not even a coach. I'm just a guy in Oregon that is truly obsessed with North Carolina and loves his wife the best he can and tries to not piss his daughter off every day.
How's that going?
18 going on 27, it seems like.
Yeah.
Listen, both my parents are good people. They really are. My dad, I think his younger life really scarred him more than I will ever know and imagine. You and him share a bond that him and I will never have. You're both Marines. My mom grew up loving kids and taking care of everyone else's kids. And then when she came home, I truly believe this. Her cup was so empty. She didn't have much left for us because she had just spent the day taking care of everyone else's kids. Those are things that I can hold over their head forever.
Right.
It was in that moment this guest did it. Marco, former guest, not very nice person. Marco, just kidding. He's amazing. My point is it was in that moment that I was like, Marco, why are we talking about the past? You can't change it. You can't fix it. There's no DeLorean outside my house. By the way, he didn't get that joke, which is really a good joke.
Of course I got the joke.
Well, he didn't though. He was like, what are you, DeLorean? What are you talking about? Back to the Future? He's like,
on,
I don't.
Marty.
Yeah. I was like, hello, McFly. Even for you, if you sat in that stuck moment, that stuck in the past, former glory, I've met a lot of former Marines, former military, whoever, insert, they want to talk about the missions. They want to talk about the medals. They want to talk about the things that they accomplished. I mean, one of my dad's favorite things to do is tell me what he did in the Marine Corps. Fine. I appreciate.
Yeah.
He's so wrapped up, and I'm only using my dad as an analogy here. He's so wrapped up into that title that he got, that he earned, that gunnery sergeant title. It's his identity. That's all he has. He's not Curtis anymore. He's Gunny.
Yeah.
Maybe you're really on a mission too, to really help people understand without knowing it. But maybe you are on the same mission that I'm on in this now and the next.
Oh, definitely. You bring up the veteran community. I agree. I think there's a healthy brotherhood that's needed. And I believe that. Like, that's one of the best things that came out of that is me redefining what family meant to me, truthfully. I do find that people who stay in that world, I remember my buddy having a really hard time getting this job that he wanted. He was a Marine. We actually grew up together. He called me and he's like, goes through all of his qualifications. He's talking about all the Marine Corps stuff. And he got a degree afterwards and all this stuff. And he's blah, 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 blah. And I said, and not to like discredit anybody out there, but I was like, dude, the war's been going on for, at that point in time, we had this conversation over like 10 years. It's like, there's a lot of vets, man. You're stuck in this, like, I am this person. It's 100% true. And you needed to move into what am I now? Like, there's nothing wrong with cherishing your past. Like, history exists for a reason. And there's that famous quote, if you don't learn history, you're doomed to repeat it. I 100% agree with that statement. So there's something about not forgetting, and I'm not ever suggesting that, honoring your past, whether it was good, bad, learning from it, and then what you're saying now and to the next, or now and next. 100%. Stay present. And what are you doing next time? It can be a giant piece of your life, and you don't need to get stuck there. You can wear it like a badge of honor and not have to relive it. That's one of the reasons I do a lot of work with people creating visions. That's your next. Understanding where they want to go in life. And one of the reasons for that is we all need purpose. We need to know what our purpose is moving forward and right now. I do think that a lot of the work that I do specifically is in this type of space of making sure people are pushing forward, honoring the past and pushing forward.
But where does that come from for you? Jon didn't just wake up one day and was like, oh, you know what? I have this great idea. I'm going to do. It's generally a little bit of a progression, a little bit of a starting point, and then a little bit of a build. Okay, I'm going to build. Okay, now I'm going to evaluate. Then I'm going to build some more. Then I'm going to evaluate, maybe build some more. It's not like you just, ta-da, I've arrived.
Yeah.
Look at all that stuff behind me. Yeah, got it down. There's a building process. There's an awakening that happens generally. Look at it like an alarm clock. It goes off and we're like, finally I'm awake. And then it takes a minute to like, okay, where am I? Let me gather my bearings. Okay, now what? Now I can move forward.
Yeah.
What was that kind of alarm clock and awakening moment where you were like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired.
My buddy's example to me was a big one. Watching him refuse to move on, watching how that kind of manifested in his life, in every aspect of his life. That was a big wake up call for me. Kind of tough to say, but like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be some of these other vets that I've run into. That wasn't what I took from the Marine Corps personally. My own stuff too, man. I got challenged really, really directly. My first career as a financial advisor, I was going for this big role. And the feedback they gave me was basically like, no, because of how you act, your directness. And that was also a shot in the face too. It was like, man, I don't need to be this person because that's not really how I'm showing up in life is not how I want to be. And I had to do a deep dive on that. So I started really taking care of my mental health personally, that I was able to look into the future. And anybody out there, and I think that guys struggle with this specifically quite a bit. It doesn't matter if you're a vet or not. If you need to get your mind right, go talk to someone and get your mind right. Go do therapy, seriously, and figure this stuff out. I've got this calendar off to my left, Neil, and it's called My Life in Weeks. You can get it online. I don't remember what the actual company is called. It's My Life in Weeks. And every box, I come in every Monday. I've got my pen. I get to cross off one of those boxes. Another week done. And it goes, I think, to age 89. I've had that for 4 years. That is also how I stay super present and moving forward. Those boxes are already filled. It's looking at the empty boxes that I need to do. What am I doing this week? Quite frankly, I've been thinking all this weekend. I haven't spent a lot of really good quality time doing fun stuff with my wife. Both been super busy. And when I'm going to fill that out this morning, that's exactly what I'm going to think about. It keeps me in today, reflection, and then move forward. I think they're both super important. Others examples, in my example, actually getting outside perspectives on that, on yourself. It's so hard in your own situation to understand why you're stuck.
So 2 things come to mind when you talk about that. The first one is many years ago, I had an opportunity to sit with former NFL quarterback Todd Marinovich. He's one of my favorite people that I've actually sat with on the show. The other one was David Thibodeau, who walked away from the Waco standoff, 1993. And both those guys, separately without even knowing it, have made statements on those episodes still haunt. The first one was Todd. One day I hope to stop talking about my drug issue and I can actually just talk about the present stuff that I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Todd, that's who you are. And then the more I thought about it, I thought that's not fair to him because that's not who he is.
Right.
Yes, that's what he did and that's what happened. That's not who he is. He has such a brilliant mind and a creative mind. Could probably talk football on an analysis level.
Yeah.
Maybe not the level of Tom Brady or maybe a Peyton Manning. Who knows? Maybe. We don't know. Maybe that's a chapter we've never really talked about with Todd. And then David Thibodeau, there was a moment where we agreed to book, we agreed to sit, we had a time, everything was set. And like the day of, I'm just not feeling it. I don't want to talk about Waco. And I was like, man, is this going to happen? Like I've told so many people this is going to happen and now is it not going to happen? Is that phrasing, I don't want to talk about Waco today. I'm not in that headspace. And again, that was horrific. I can't even imagine the demons and the darkness that has come from the Survivors Guild alone, what he's carrying around every single day. It's the past. He can't change what happened, just like Todd can't change what happened, just like I can't change what happened, just like you can't change what happened. You talk to a lot of veterans. You've been in sales. You've been in some Airbnb. I mean, you've done a lot in your very young life. Now, I know you're not a clinical doctor, psychologist person. You didn't tell me that. Maybe you are, and you secretly
no.
Okay, you're not. All right. So there's no liability here. So you can really give your opinion for you and your opinion.
Yeah.
Why do we stay so stuck in the things that we've done or haven't done?
Why do we stay stuck in the things that we've done? I think people are really bad for forgiving themselves specifically. And I think that most times when people are stuck in the past, it's this, what should have happened, or I should have done this. It's always I should have. And then the other thing is, I don't think people properly redefine what success is in their life often enough. You get it with like the stereotypical, I grew up in a really small town. This is actually kind of a funny fact, Neil. I was a pretty good football player in high school. I didn't go anywhere. I obviously went to the Marines. A lot of my friends back then were like, oh, you could have been the one that got a scholarship to play. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. I have no idea. Funny sometimes when they bring it up because I never think about it. That was so long ago to me. Like the next year of my life, I was doing something that would define the rest of my life. So for me, those football games meant nothing. It really didn't. It was high school football. I go back home whenever I do, which is very rare now, once every couple of years, maybe. People still bring it up. To your point earlier, that is how they've identified success. Not that they haven't done anything worthwhile since, but they haven't redefined it ever. I don't need to think about my high school football days anymore. I've got 2 kids, a wife, got a steady job, and I'm thankful for the world that I have pushing forward. That's what they should be talking about. But from that instance, that was that defining moment from them. That was where they loved life. And then everything kind of started getting harder. People not redefined success properly, I don't think. And then I think a lot of people just don't give themselves enough grace for what happened in the past. You can't change it. And again, talk about this stuff all the time with my clients. It's not like I'm immune to it. I still think the same thing. It's not about like, how do you not do that? It's how do you snap yourself out of it quickly? That's more important. How do you give yourself grace a little bit more quickly? How do you define success a little bit more quickly and get clear on what you are and who you are and be proud of that today.
Michael Jordan said recently when NBC taking the NBA over again, which is amazing. Right. Mike Tirico did a great job interviewing MJ and, hey, when's the last time you shot a basketball? And kind of him and Han. And he's like, well, there was a time that I rented a house. The owner that I was renting it from wanted me to shoot a free throw for the kids. That was really cool of them to be able to see. And they're little kids. They're probably, 8 and 10. They have no idea who Michael Jordan is.
Who MJ is, yeah.
They probably have no idea. Parents do, I'm sure. But the little kids, they're like, who's this guy? Is this Kobe Bryant? They probably thought he was Kobe Bryant. But he said he was so nervous about shooting that free throw. More nervous than he was on any shot he had ever taken professionally. Any shot. And I firmly believe that. Kids were probably told this is the greatest of all time. But again, we talk about his accolades from his past. I wonder about this for people. Are we so defined by our past, our present has no relevance?
I think for some people, yeah. And in that way, they miss a lot of opportunity. I really do think it's something that a lot of people massively struggle with, is being able to deconnect themselves from past mistakes or even past successes. Sometimes I think it's because they don't want to do the work right now. It's going to require for them to define a new type of success or actually go get help, the time in the present to handle that so you can actually move forward. View it like this sometimes. If you're looking at a high jump, let's talk about the NFL Combine. You either stand and jump or you get to take one step back and jump. If you take one step back and then jump forward, you jump massively higher every single time. That's why everybody does it. You get leverage, you get momentum. And people aren't willing to do that backward step. And so they're always just jumping in place. That's a weird analogy. That's what I see. They're not willing to take that lateral step or even that back step to be able to move forward in a more explosive manner. And so they just get stuck jumping the same height.
But how do we fix that?
I call it bathing in your fear.
I'm absolutely 100%. Like, I'm not immune to this. I wish I had the antidote and the formula, 7-step process or 5-step or 4-step or 3-step process of what you need to do. That's the hardest part right now. For so many people that I run into, like, I can't get over that. What do you mean you can't get over that? My dad still talks about the heydays, as I've already mentioned, the heydays of the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
He talks about how it was somebody.
Yeah, that's it. Interesting word.
Was somebody.
Yeah.
Being a big Carolina fan, my Carolina moment, Chris Webber calling the timeout he didn't have. That moment has defined him. He rarely talks about it. If he's forced to, he sort of does. He doesn't. That was a big moment in his life that people were always associating with him. That was the running joke. What is he doing now? We could somehow get it through everyone's head that what you did 10 years ago or even 5 years ago or even 5 minutes ago isn't who you are.
Yeah, I really do believe this, Neil. I know I mentioned it a little earlier. I personally believe that purpose and vision is a massive part of that, of getting through the past. If you really identify what your purpose is in life and the vision for the future, then you have something to focus in on. Most people never take the time to do that. So the only reference point they do have is the past, because you've never taken just a single hour and defined what you want your life to be 3 years from today in a real way, taking the time to do it. It's one of the things that I do with my clients initially always is define where we're going. If you can't define it, then how are we ever going to get there? You're just going to be walking aimlessly through the woods and looking back because we don't know where our destination is. Bathing in your fear. There is actually a clinical term for that. I looked it up one time. I can't remember off the top of my head. But what I mean by that is if it scares you, if it's something in the past, actually bathe in it for a while and get used to it so you can actually move on instead of having these fleeting moments of, oh, I can't believe I messed that up in the past. No, all right. If you're going to concentrate on it, take the time, actually go focus in on it, bathe in it for a little while, get over it, make a vision so you can move forward. If I had the solution, that's where I would start.
How did you do that?
The vision thing. I started planning my life out 3 years in advance. I'd pick dates. I've got one for 40 right now where it's constantly got my mind moving in the right direction. I've gotten professional help as well. Both of those things. I can speak to that, at least worked for me. And again, not that I don't remember my past, but I don't fixate on it. I'm steady into the future and the present as best as I can.
Do you think that's the struggle our veterans are running into? Is again the idea of the horrific things maybe some have done and the nightmares that come with that and the mistakes that they should have done differently. No mission ever goes perfectly from what I've been told. Everything has its own little snafu and you kind of have to switch things up and there has to be a secondary plan, a fifth plan, and nothing ever goes according to quote unquote the plan.
So my observation in this as a 2-time combat vet, I was a Marine Corps infantry squad leader. I've done about 200 missions. We had a really rough first deployment, but what I think was really interesting is you don't really hear or even see or witness the PTSD symptoms for most until they get out. Why is that? That's the question that I want answered. We did our first deployment, and then a year later, we're doing our second, and everybody doesn't seem like they're struggling at all. Well, why is that? And then you get out, and all of a sudden, there's this massive problem with PTSD. My personal belief is veterans lose purpose, and they lose a mission. The mission really would be that vision that we talked about, but they lose purpose. I joined the Marines when I was 17 years old, was in boot camp just after my 18th birthday. And you have this deep purpose for the next 4 years of your life, these critical years for young men's lives and their brains specifically. You have this now deep purpose. And not only do you have the deep purpose, you've got another at least 12 to 200 dudes that share that same purpose, that same brotherhood. So then you take a Marine or a vet or an Army or Navy or whatever, it doesn't really matter, just a veteran out of that world. You take away their purpose and you take away all their friends and family and you say, go back to regular life. And we're surprised that they start having bad dreams about the things that they've done. They've lacked purpose. It's what NFL players and NBA players and sports people talk about all the time. They quote unquote peak when you were 19. You kind of did though. It's so hard to find a deeper purpose than one that you were willing to give your life for when you were 19 years old. And now I'm 38. I have purpose, but I've chosen to find that. A lot of guys don't. They don't recognize it. And then, in my opinion, we start blaming a bunch of other stuff for the cause of the symptom. You don't have your environment around you, which is your brotherhood anymore. The environment that you know makes you successful, and you don't have purpose. That's why. When you get a bunch of veterans together, most veterans don't, at least in my experience, maybe it was just because of my experiences, don't talk to civilians about real war stories. They'll say the funny ones. They don't talk about the real ones. When you get a group of vets together, they start talking about the real ones. There's not a bunch of guys crying. There's a bunch of dudes reminiscing and laughing. Darkest humor jokes that you can imagine. When you reintroduce those principles or those attributes of replicating where they thrived the most in their life, they had a deep meaning of purpose, and they were surrounded by like-minded people that cared more than life about them. And so that's what I'd say most people struggle with. They lose the two most important things in their life when, generally speaking, most people do 4 and out when they're 21, 22, 23. Now they start over in a world that they don't understand. No one gets their jokes. They can't talk about anything that actually happened to decompress at all. And now they have no purpose. Like, okay, go to college for what? It seems so minuscule compared to what you used to do.
Do you think that's our world? Do you think that's the greater challenge in our world right now? Rick Warren made probably millions upon millions with his book, Purpose Driven Life. Do you think that is the real issue in quote unquote America today, quote unquote in New York today, quote unquote in Oregon today? Pick your state. There's just this lack of purpose. I don't know who I am. By the way, you can't buy purpose on Amazon. I've looked. I tried to see if there was a listing in eBay. Apparently, there's also not a listing for eBay for purpose. But it seems like we are trying all of these things to fit into this box or to fit into this thing that we call life. And we define our purpose by what happened again in high school. I still have friends to this day. The wide receiver that caught the game-winning touchdown against the crosstown rival. It's like, bro, that was 25 years ago. Let it go.
Right. Let it go.
Yeah, you were all state. Okay. Do you put that on your LinkedIn profile? Yes, it is there, by the way. Not throwing rocks. I'm guilty of it too. One thing that I did recently, we're in Mexico at a bar, swim up bar, by the way. So it's in the pool. And this guy says to me, only guy there that spoke English, by the way, he comes up to me and my wife and I are standing there in the pool drinking our drinks. And he comes up and he goes, oh my gosh, Americans. I'm like, yeah, we're from Oregon. He's like, I'm from California. I'm like, oh, get away from us. Just kidding. We did it. He's like, hey, what do you do? I was like, oh man, what do I do? I said, I love to play golf. I absolutely love to podcast. I'm a huge North Carolina fan. And oh, this is my wife, by the way. My daughter's somewhere. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. That's what I do. And he's like, no, you missed my question. I was like, no, I think I nailed it, buddy. He's like, no, what do you do for a living? I was like, I just named like 7 things what I do for a living. Yeah, that's what I do. He's like, for a job. I was like, oh, that's not what I do. That's not who I am. And he didn't get it. And I've started to do that, by the way, recently. I started to do, when someone asks me what I do, I start listing off things that I do. Those are things that I do. And it's happened now twice. 2 different environments, by the way, both in bars. So maybe I should stay away from bars. I don't know.
That's a good point though, man. Most people would immediately know exactly what you're saying. When we talk about this lack of purpose in America in general, most people would define themselves by their career. And especially if they're in one that they don't love or it just pays the bills or whatever that might be, again, you're just lacking purpose.
That's not who I am though.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah.
That's
a good
not
point.
that's not what I do. Just like,
Yeah.
that's not what you do. You're so much more than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We somehow, again, define success by the things that we've accomplished even.
Yeah.
Somebody once asked me, they're like, Neil, you're a runner? You used to run? I said, yeah. And I start listing off all the things that I've done running wise. Let's get to that chapter. Oh, I've run 2 half marathons. They're like, you've never run a full? I'm like, no, I'm not crazy. They're like, wow, that's awesome. How many 5Ks have you done? I'm like, well, I don't know, over 100. They're like, wow, that's impressive. I'm like, sure. But that's not who I am. That's a chapter and a facet that I was really into for probably about a 4-year period of time.
Yeah.
A small window in comparison to my 46 years. Maybe that is how we're supposed to define purpose and success and all the things.
No, I don't think so. One of my friends and I have very different versions of success. I think that's what society has told us that we need to. I'll agree with that for sure. You just answer that question. What do you do? Everybody knows what he's asking. That guy in the pool. Everybody knows what he was really asking. He was asking what you do for a living. We know that. You knew that. You decided to define your life outside of that. And that's what you should do. Even on my website specifically, it lists a lot of stuff. And then it says, the thing I'm most proud of is I'm a fierce friend and husband. And that is true. That is the thing I'm actually most proud of. I'm very proud of the business that I've built. If we're looking down at it and everything could go away, my friends and my wife would be there and my family. That is what I'm most proud of. And so I think that society definitely puts this on us of, well, define success monetarily. That's how primarily people do it. If you get on social media for even 2 seconds, influencers are taking pictures in fake airplanes. That's how bad people want to perceive that they're financially or monetarily successful. Kind of hilarious in my opinion. I think it's a part of you. And I think that's the thing, is that you don't need to necessarily ditch the past. You just learn from it. It's a piece of the book that you're writing. Good way to put it. It's not proofread time. This page and what's going on the rest of the book that you need to focus in on. It doesn't mean that you can't go back. To your point, everybody defines success differently. One of my best friends and I define success very, very differently. We have in our entire life, and that's fine. We prioritize different things. But if somebody decides that success means to them what they do in their job, good for them. It's not us to judge what they decide is success or not. It's them to decide. If they want to define themselves by their job, that's up to them.
It is 100%. But my question always is, when someone starts telling me what they do for a living, I stop them immediately and I say, cool, that's what you do for a living. But what do you really do?
I love the question. I know I do. I think it's a good challenge, and I'm probably going to steal that at the next networking event that I go to.
You can. Yeah. I just want
Thanks.
rights. That's all.
I know for sure.
Shout
for sure.
out. Just a little shout out.
I'll Venmo you.
Yeah,
I'll Venmo you 2
Yeah.
cents every time I bring it up.
Yeah, bring it up. Yeah. You talk about the many facets to Jon that there are. What has been the most rewarding part about coaching, though? I've always thought about it. I've always thought, man, is that, would I, should I? I don't know. I come alive when I can encourage somebody. I'm one of those weirdos. I'll be driving down the road and a name, and it's random. It's not every Tuesday or fifth Wednesday. It's random. 3:00 in the afternoon, I get in my car and I'm like, man, how's Joey today? And I'll pull out my phone. I'm like, man, just thinking of you. Shoot him a text. I just am one of those weird guys. Like, I love to encourage people. I come alive when I get to encourage somebody. So for you, coaching, has that made you come alive more? Or is that just like, hey, this is a cool thing I found that I like to do?
No. This is my professional purpose for sure. I get all my energy from coaching conversations I have with clients. And coaching is a lot about others first, getting people to their answer, right? Making those breakthroughs. That's why I made that comment. Like, people can define it differently. You know, that's what people really just need to understand, is how do they actually define it? If you're defining it because society told you success should be like this, that's the problem. If you come to that conclusion on your own, nobody can challenge you on that. That's your definition, whether you agree with it or not, that's theirs. And I think that's what coaching is getting people to their answer. My coaching style is much more direct. We can dive deep. People hire me for me, and that's why I love it. They're hiring me for me. When I was in financial planning, I was not myself. I was a version of myself. People get me. Getting people to be the best version of success that they can be is incredibly rewarding from the outside looking in. Call it the 30,000 foot view. People get so stuck in their situation that it's been one of those things that in life that I've always been inherently good at is looking at situations objectively. And so to be able to do that on a day-to-day purpose fills my cup to the brim. And to see other people get value from that and make better changes in their life because of it, their life or their business, yeah, that's massively important to me. It was one of those things that I was always the friend that people called when they needed real advice. And now I get to do that for a living.
That's exciting. So how does it work? How do people get in touch with you? What's the best way? Is there a social media you love to hang out on? And then we'll play our fun game called Heal Hustle.
Yeah, people can find me in my business name on Instagram. It's Bellawood_coaching. So that's BELLEAUWOOD_coaching is how to find me. Post a lot of free videos on there. That's the only purpose that it exists, is to give back. If you like the stuff that you see on there, interact. Be more than happy to have a conversation with anybody. This is not a sales pitch. That's where you can find me. I post a lot of free videos that exists for the community. I get a lot of good feedback on that type of stuff. There's no like CTAs at the end of each video. It's just talk about a topic for 90 seconds and hopefully people make some breakthroughs. So follow me on there.
It's called Bellawood?
Bellawood, yep. Like the Battle of Bellawood.
What is a Bellawood?
Bellawood is a forest in France.
A forest?
Yep. It's a famous battle in World War I where the Marines got their nickname Devil Dog.
Oh, fun.
It's a really cool story too.
I did not know that. I'm going to have to ask my dad about that. Bellawood. He'll know. If I just say that, he'll know. He's a history guy. Most Marines are, though, I feel like.
Every Marine knows that. Yeah.
It's like Marine 102 or something like that. They teach you that in boot camp.
He'll know. It's a famous battle, super famous battle.
All right. Well, here's Zach to tell us more about Heal Hustle. Zach, take it away.
It's now that time in the show to play the fastest growing game in the podcast world. We call it Heal Hustle. Today, our guest will try to answer all 6 of these questions in 60 seconds or less to win a prize from our prize closet. Audience, feel free to play at home. Let's put 60 seconds on the clock. Ready, set, hustle!
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
All right, John, who was your childhood celebrity crush?
Kate Beckinsale.
Secret talent?
I'm a very good singer.
Really? Okay.
Very good.
Person you would trade places with for a year?
Oof. I don't know. Joe Rogan. I don't know.
That's a good one. Weirdest job you've ever had?
Weirdest job. Oh, I worked at American Eagle.
All right.
It was horrible. I'd rather go back to Iraq.
Wow. Biggest risk you've ever taken?
Starting my own business.
Who needs a hug from you today and why?
My sister. She's going through some tough stuff right now.
Wow. Look at that. Under the wire. Good job. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate the back and forth. I love the idea of trying to get people to find a purpose and then walk in that purpose.
I bring it up so much is it's made such a big impact in my life personally. And I struggled so much when I got out. That was what clicked for me. You asked a great question, like what was that thing that got you out of it? It was that. It was I found purpose and I found vision. And then I started surrounding myself, man, with other people like that. And that was the final piece. Build this good group. That was an awesome conversation, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, John. We loved having you on as well. So we will definitely link your info in our show notes. All right, guys and gals, kids and campers alike. That sound, of course, means it's time to go for today. I know. It's always a little sad for me when we have to stop. I want to just keep going sometimes. It's like the song that never ends. It's like Lamb Chop. Song that never ends. Just goes on and on, my friends. That so gets stuck in your head today. Hope it works. But maybe that's you, or maybe you're stuck in your own head right now. Maybe you're like a lamb chop, just like defenseless and brittle and scared, stuck in a pin. Ugh, nobody wants that. I don't want that. Hopefully you don't want that. So when does the mindset actually get shifted? You know, still to this day, one of my favorite quotes that I've ever read of all time, Steve Prefontaine, to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift. Now the question is, what's the gift that you have? What's the purpose you have? What's the feeling you have? Again, you can't buy that on Amazon Prime. I've tried. I've looked. You can't. So tonight, before you lay your head down on your MyPillow, Think about that. Think about that and ask yourself the question, how am I defined? Do I have a purpose? Do I have a direction? Do I have a focus? And if you don't, I know a guy who might be able to help you with that. Just saying. Before we go, don't forget this, of course, super important. Remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. And stay tuned till next week when we walk in other people's shoes.